Live from Lincoln and broadcasting across the state of Nebraska, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. This is the place for Husker sports with the biggest names, the best interviews, and all the inside scoops.
I got a front row seat with a big tub of buttered popcorn and a greasy half-live chicken leg.
Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it. Weekend editions here with the Average Joe Sports Show. Chris Schmidt, it is Mark Kraynak, Elijah Herbel. Hope you're doing okay. As we have plenty to get into with portal season, Nebraska trying to stay perfect, and some reaction to Matt Rhule's appearance, not just on the Wednesday pod, but doubled down, so to speak, to use a Mike Ekeler term, on Friday night. It's good to be with everybody in the stream on YouTube 7 days a week, and find us on the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel, on Twitter, as well, AJ Sports Radio. Kraynak, what's a good word? Elijah, how we doing? It's Denver Donkey Day as they try to move on and kick off against Buffalo later. I know you're locked in on that, so ton to talk here. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Nebraska continues to make some moves. An official announcement with another defensive lineman that is going to be in for Nebraska, Owen Stoudemire from Boston College. A little bit of question with Stoudemire and his medical background, but so things seem to check out okay medically, and good body type, I think, right? I mean, we aspire to be that as we get older, possibly.
6'1", 292?
I mean,
is that what we aspire for?
Some of us are there, baby. I mean, I like it. That screams you're not running up the middle on me. It's supposed to scream that.
Yeah, Nebraska's gotten a couple short defensive tackles. Like, do it for the short man, right? The kid out of Pitt is like 6 foot 270. He's obviously got to put on weight, but he's quicker twitch. And then this guy's 6'1", 292.
It's a game of leverage, right?
Yeah, so immediately you're like, Aaron Donald. Nebraska's got two of them. Perfect.
Sure.
That'll work. But there's a pretty big range between Elijah Judy and Aaron Donald for the 6 foot, 280 to 300 types. So we'll see. See how they do. That's and they won't have to worry about some crazy energetic guy on special teams trying to coach them up.
Yeah, that's
that seems like that's Coach Eck seems like he's not going to be a part of the program. It seems like it.
Yeah, but there's no official word. Spring game's coming back.
Didn't Matt Rhule last night say if and when Eck leaves the program?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's no big deal because he told him how he left a good system behind. And that worked really well for the defense last year, which is immediately what came to mind, right? Like last year, and Rhule even admitted last year, hey, that's probably on me. I wanted to stay in the same defense, and I told John Butler he needs to run that defense. And he seems to be saying the same thing about special teams. Like, we'll just do it in-house. We'll just run the same system. Well, I think the coach kind of matters. That'd be a big loss, right? That'd be a big loss.
It'd be a monster loss.
Teams.
I mean, you can overcome it, but you just don't have a track record of always making the right appointee. You don't have a track record of making the right hire. It's not that you haven't made good hires. You have made some good hires. You've made some not so good hires. And then, it's all up in the air. Are you going to make a good hire? Is this promotion from within the answer just because of their connectiveness with Rhule, with Ekeler? So that remains to be seen. But what it felt like, guys, is the more Rhule talked about this, and I think it was about 30 minutes on the Husker Network last night on a Friday, the more Rhule talked about it, the more there was. Did you get annoyance in his voice? And I'd be annoyed too. Like, listen, we think you're great. Here's a monster raise on your desk in October. Sign it. So I get the part of it where Rhule is saying, got to be both feet in. I don't know how many times he said foxhole, but it was, enough to be more than once. And if you're Ekeler, it comes down to, it'd be fun to hear from Ekeler. Why move on? Is it about really truly being passionate and coaching a defensive position as well as special teams? I think that's it. And I think you find a way to have him do that. I mean, you have 2 linebacker coaches right now, fellas. You have 2 defensive end coaches or edge coaches. You've got an interior tackle, probably 2 interior tackle coaches. You've got a safeties coach. You've got a cornerbacks coach in Addison Williams. Mm-hmm. You are full boat defensively. Yep. And I just wonder if you're Eck, and you're not the boss, but you probably think you're a better coach, selfishly, than maybe a couple of guys that are on staff here. Why can't I go do that? And listen, Manning, from an edge standpoint, I mean, that's Orich's guy. Manning's done a hell of a job with past talent he's added where he's been, some of his different stops, be it at Oklahoma or USC. You got Simpson. And that his first time coaching ever was this season
at this level. He was a high school coach in Miami.
But he's also like your liaison to keep all your Florida kids here, quite frankly. I mean, if we're looking behind the curtain. So it's a tough situation. What do you guys think of Rhule last night? We'll read your comments in the stream. Kraynak, Elijah, your reaction to that appearance.
Well, he talks a lot, right? Rhule talks a lot, and you appreciate it on some levels, but it's one of those things. Like I work in communications, right? Like as a full-time job, and the more you say, the more risk you have, right? There's because there's just more to pick apart, right? So it's all about brevity. It's all about clarity, efficiency in your words. That ain't Rhule. Right. And so on some level, you like it because he doesn't necessarily do the coach speak thing. Right. Like if, you can criticize him for a lot of things, but the fact that he's even addressing what's going on with Ekeler, I think most coaches wouldn't. They just be like, oh, that's a private personnel matter. And, we're working on it. And they would just try to like deflect and get rid of it. Rhule's taking you right behind the scenes. And it appears that they're not talking much, and he just tells you what's going on. And so, I don't know. I think it'd be different too if it was a coach that did not generate the kind of success that Ekeler had. Ekeler had undeniable, remarkable success, a remarkable impact on the program. Right? This was like Tony White even,
and he's got a remarkable personality.
Yeah, right. And like Tony White even had some games that were rough. Special teams didn't have any games that were rough. They either dominated or held serve. That's it. There was no crappy special teams performances, and we've seen how crappy special teams have been. So his mark on the program was undeniable, and that's what makes this one a little bit different, right? You lose Tony White, you lose Terrence Knight, and you're like, that sucks. It's not great, but okay, whatever. And it's just notable that there are coaches that appear to be on the move a little bit more under Rhule lately. I think he's feeling the pressure. I think he knows that the team's got to win a little bit, a little more. And behind the scenes, it's probably there's probably some pretty heated conversations. Is what it feels like. But by the way, it's not like Ekeler is a super loyal guy in the first place. He's on the move a lot, right? How many jobs has he had?
He had 12 different stops since 2004.
Right. He moves.
The longest tenure is the 4 years he did at Tennessee. And he has been one and done at Kansas, at North Texas twice. And then I think it was at USC. Now, Kansas and the USC departures. Les Miles left mid-season or was asked to leave. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had Lane Kiffin get whacked on the tarmac at USC.
Yeah.
So those were two different instances. I think your landing spot was North Texas. And then you went off and found bigger and better. But he's been at Georgia. He's been at Tennessee. He's been at USC. He's been at Kansas. He's been at Oklahoma. He's been at LSU.
Nebraska a couple times.
Twice. So, yeah, I mean, he is mobile, but it has turned into, a little bit of the airing of public grievances. On one hand, you got Rhule talking about, X great, love him, want him here. On the other hand, dude, make a decision. Why aren't we good enough for you?
Yeah.
And the little extra seasoning last night for me was, started the special teams off great, pretty good midseason. By the end of the year, he wanted to make sure it was, did not play Iowa special teams, wanted to reinforce that. And then from a personality standpoint, you want guys playing special teams to help the team win, not for the glory of special teams or that I play for Coach Eck. There seems to be a little bit of frustration.
They want to play for Coach Eck. I don't care about their motivation. I care.
Make sure you find guys that are motivated that go do the job. Isn't that the point?
Oh, man, these guys want to play for a top 5 special teams coordinator in the country.
They should be wanting to play for me. That's what it sounded like. Someone who was a little bit ticked off. And that Eck personality, listen, we love him because we've talked to him and known him for years, but it can wear on the wrong people. We bring in Brandon Vogel. Speaking of wearing on people, we've probably worn on Vogues for almost 15 years.
I'm glad you qualified that, because at first I was like, man, that's mean to say to Brandon to start.
No, I will never say anything mean to Brandon. He'll make me run gassers next time we see one another. But Vogues, we're just kind of going deep here into this Matt Rhule and Coach Ekeler saga. And it didn't get any cleaner. Instead, it may be muddied. I mean, and there's pretty clear to me that, Eck didn't. I would not put any money on him returning. Okay, so there's that feel from last night, but it got a little bit more pointed, right, from Rhule, and it wasn't nasty. It was Rhule just saying, "Here's the situation," which is good, but the longer he talked about it, the more you could tell his irritation. Oh yeah, and the spring game's kicking off in March, end of March.
A welcome return.
Yes.
So I guess that's the trade. You get the spring game back, and special teams coordinator who helped Nebraska land in the top 10 of most categories. I mean, could he even come back at this point? I guess. After I was frankly kind of shocked by where that interview went last night in terms of talking about needing a coach who wants special teams to help the team win rather than, this is me paraphrasing, rather than being good for the sake of, well, I'm a special teams coach, so it looks pretty good if special teams is good. Like, it was, I just kind of find it baffling to put it out there in that context. And it continued a theme from post Iowa, which we know Nebraska made a handful of coaching changes pretty much right then and there, of talking about the people who want to be here, and that came up with this one too. And that's all fine and good, and maybe this is unfair because I've never been in that position, but ultimately as like the head coach, like, it's your job to enact that, right? Indiana isn't out here talking about, well, we got some guys who have 1 foot in, and that's an issue. So, I think part of the reason Rhule's been so out front with this is to avoid that kind of interpretation of this, but I just have a hard time not totally going there, or at least considering it, given all of the information we provided about how this has exactly gone down. So, yeah, not only do I not think he's coming back, like I don't even know how that relationship would be if he did.
Does any concern about how similar Rhule is talking about special teams with the defense from 2 years ago when he said with special teams, not worried about it. He left behind a good system. We'll just run the same system. And this is a month after he said, after Tony White left, I made John Butler kind of run the same defense, and that's on me. I probably shouldn't have done that. Like there are some parallels there. Any concerns about that?
I mean, I think that's a valid way to frame it. I personally think like maintaining in this instance probably offers the most upside for 2026. Like if you take Rhule's word for it and like the teaching progression, all of that stuff, that's fine. I think promoting from within can help you have a slower drop off from that. But what do we know about Ekeler? Like literally the first thing we know about him is he's one of the most enthusiastic coaches that you'll encounter anywhere in the country. And what is special teams? It's basically dirty work that you have to have enthusiasm for. And if you can convince 11 guys like, no, this is your chance, if you be like me, which I think is probably Eckler's special skill and why he's had so much success there. That's the part you're going to miss. And I don't know that going out and being like, okay, well, we got to find the craziest special teams coach out there to try and replicate this. In the short term, Nebraska coming close to what it did last year and not experience a major drop off. Yeah, it probably makes sense to stay internal with this one.
Yeah. Brandon Vogel with us here, a weekend edition, the Average Joe Sports Show. And Brandon, I guess, what would you define next year, assuming Ekeler is out the door, which everything we heard from Matt Rhule would make me believe this is just a matter of time. What would you define as competent special teams play with a different special teams coordinator? Because I think expectations were higher on what Ekeler could bring this year. He really did match that, like the expectations through the first 10 games of the season. Now, was it great late? Wasn't great against Iowa, wasn't great in the bowl game, but for the most part, you were happy with the special teams play. What would you define as special teams play that would leave you happy in 2026, given there's going to be a new coach in charge?
Be above average nationally. I mean, I came into 2025 with that was kind of my expectation because, Nebraska had been pretty atrocious in terms of special teams for a handful of years. And, depending on how you wanted to measure it and what you wanted to look at, they ranked in the 90s and the hundreds consistently. So I was like, if Ekeler comes in and has a good year, like Nebraska gets about to average. Well, they went way past that. I think the good news is in terms of you're bringing your returner back, not Kenneth Williams, but Barney. So that helps. You got your kicker. You got your kickoff specialist, which is underrated most of the time. Bring all those pieces back. So theoretically, those are, kicker in particular and return a little bit to a lesser degree are pretty individual positions. Like your kicker's good or your kicker's not good. And I don't want to undervalue the level of coaching that goes into that position specifically. But if Nebraska stayed above average special teams wise, I think that probably matches up with they did okay in terms of having to replace the guy they thought was going to be the future of that room.
It's Brandon Vogel with us here as we're talking Mike Ekeler and special teams. We'll get into the spring game and when it kicks off here March 28th. In a second, some basketball thoughts from Vogues as well. But from a personality standpoint, how do you think the optics are affected right now? Is it more of a public opinion PR crisis for Coach Rhule? And I'm not trying to make too big a deal. Coaches come and go all the time. especially right after the convention. I understand it, but you've had a lot of shuffling at Nebraska, and you've needed to make changes. One of the good work changes you made was Ekeler, right? And the performance backed up the reputation. Do you feel like there's an annoyance? Do you feel a rub? Do you feel like there's some slightedness going on? Did you get that tone at all because of this Ekeler persona? And Eckler's always been that dude, right? He's gonna buy a piranha. He's gonna go for a marathon out on the interstate. Okay, he's gonna do 20 bench presses like he's at the NFL Combine because he can get the bar up at 225. Right? I mean, just what he is. It's part of the charm, and that charm, it seems to have been something that's worn thin. On top of the hurt that you're not willing to commit to Nebraska for another year from Rhule's perspective.
Yeah, he's definitely got sort of a thrill seeker or maybe a hunting dog's energy. Whereas Matt Rhule, more like myself, is more of a cat vibe. So I do think that's part of it. And you can think about even, middle of the season when a huge quote unquote extension reportedly arrived, and even some of those big special teams moments. And, it was kind of a joke at times throughout the season of Matt Rhule being like, Eck, I love you, but like, I need some space. Like, don't come up and pound me on the back, and things like that. And, at the time, like, you're just playing it off as, that's him. I'm me. There's a little bit of, it's different between the two of us. But you look at it now and I think, yeah, maybe that is a bigger piece of things than what seemed like a joke during the season. And, I wrote a couple of weeks ago about just the Nebraska was up to 10 changes, I think, in terms of staff before any that were made this week. So you're looking at 3 seasons, and you're going to be at what, like 13, 14? Not all of those are firings and hirings. Some of it's just adding to staff because you can do that now. But that's a lot of change. It does not kind of speak to, I think, a program that is like on a clear trajectory. It indicates at the very best that they're still trying to figure it out.
Well, and Brandon, I think in the background I heard someone playing with some blocks at your place. And if we use the blocks comparison, this definitely feels like an off season where Nebraska has been tearing some things down, kind of repairing the foundation of this football program. Is that a fair way to put this? The stylistic change you're likely going to see on offense, the different type of quarterback coming in. You bring in the new defensive coordinator. Coach Ekeler, for whatever reason, has decided, hey, I'm getting the hell out of here. It just feels like maybe the foundation was crumbling just a little bit, and you're going back down to the basement, and you're making some repairs to that foundation for the football program. Is that a fair way to summarize what this offseason has been so far?
I think so. It's not a reset, according to Matt Rhule, but that's exactly the term that I used, in the weeks after the Iowa game and before we even saw the bowl game. And it felt like that. And, whether or not Matt Rhule likes that term or not, which totally fair, I get it. I think that's what they're trying to do, is be like, okay, for really after 2 years, you could make the argument that things were kind of on pace for what was reasonable to expect for the Rhule era. And then this year was off that pace. So to kind of get back to basics, I think in some cases, I think it's sort of the staff's core beliefs isn't a bad thing. It just becomes how you label it. And to clarify, that sound was not blocks. It was my daughter banging against the door, which is closed because she wants to come in. But that also might work.
Does she have an opinion on Coach Ekeler? Is that why?
Can Frankie coach special teams?
No, I got her tagged for she's going to be the first flag football coach at Nebraska.
Got
Is
it.
kind of what we're aiming for.
I know
Yeah, we're looking at
Clausburn is
2028.
also in the running for that job, so there was
Oh,
some
he is.
competition. Yeah.
I hate to compete with a fellow friend of the show, but business is business.
Can we go there for a second? By the way, the women's flag football team announced what was yesterday, right?
Mhm.
That the University of Nebraska is adding flag football as the next varsity sport, which seems like such a huge escalation of embracing the sport versus like starting off with, hey, it's going to be a club team or something like. No, it's like there is going to be the Nebraska Cornhuskers women's flag football team. And it's apparently it's grown quite a bit. It's going to be an Olympic sport in 2028. What the hell's happening there? Like who's coaching that? What does their schedule look like? Where are they
Who you
playing?
playing?
See, with the 105 roster limit, it feels like the developmental squad, right?
Yeah. But
No, okay. I thought it was fun.
pretty shocking though, right? Pretty shocking and real progressive announcement that Nebraska made. Do we know of other schools that have also announced? I didn't look it up much. I'm just curious if y'all have seen. Yeah,
Nebraska is the first power conference school to officially announce a team. There's a handful of club teams out there because I was looking around at it a little bit this morning. Arizona State has one, Colorado, Clemson, Duke. So there's some club teams out there, but I think this was all about it's a huge first mover advantage for Nebraska in a sport that is going to get added at other schools. I mean, just look at like the official announcement release. Like they have the NFL VP of whatever. I mean, they had some heavy hitters. Tony Petitti had a quote in this announcement. So Nebraska gets a ton of positive publicity for being first, but also when you look at just Husker fans' passion for any Nebraska sport, like I think Nebraska has a real chance to kind of, by being first, to become one of the first dominant flag football teams, whatever that looks like, 10, 15 years from now. Is it a sport that's on TV? Is it a sport that people follow? Who knows? It's an emerging sport according to the NCAA. That's the official classification. But just being the first team to be out there, the first university to be out there, I think gives Nebraska a pretty significant springboard to being very good at this sport. And it's already happening in the state of Nebraska. Midland University is one of the best teams at that level. I don't know a ton about the program, but I know they've been going at it for a while, and they're a pretty good program.
Well, it's another program to gain dominance before the football team because it feels like every other sport on campus is dominant besides the football program.
I did have that thought. I was like, is flag football going to be?
Is it going to win before football?
Is going to be more dominant
wins?
in the next 15 years? Yeah, we'll see.
Speaking of dominance, Nebraska basketball off to Evanston today. Tip off at 3. So, any worries, Brandon Vogel, or are you past the point of worry? If Nebraska's favored, they're going to win.
I don't think if you followed Nebraska basketball for more than this season, you ever totally eliminate the worry. And Evanston's been a place where Nebraska has lost to some good Northwestern teams and also lost to some not that good Northwestern teams. So I think you worry about just when is Nebraska going to have that sleepy game or the game where the shots just aren't falling and you've got to figure it out. That said, Nebraska has figured it out in a handful of games this season already. So it's one of those games where it's kind of like, Nebraska should be a pretty deserving favorite here in my mind. And that's the thing that gives you a little bit of pause.
Tip off 3:00. Northwestern 0 in the conference so far, 0-6. Nebraska 6-0. But I will say Northwestern isn't getting blown out, right? It's like I think their biggest loss is 12. A lot of them are single digits within 4 to 6. So it could still be a competitive game. If there is anything that you can look at this Nebraska squad and, hey, you're the coach that's going against them. What is it? What are you trying to exploit? What are you trying to hope for? How do you beat this Husker squad? Because nobody's figured it out the whole year.
Yeah, I mean, I think those teams that are a little bit bigger are the ones that can give Nebraska some problems. So if you can get shots at the rim, like I know everybody wants at the rim or threes, but against Nebraska specifically, like they've done such a good job defending this year, contesting all shots that I would really try to force our team to get to the hoop. And then the other thing, and this is, been kind of a multi-year issue for Nebraska, and they've won despite it. You gotta pound the offensive glass. Like if you can do that, and we saw Michigan State have a huge advantage and almost beat Nebraska at home. That's the other one that I kind of have flagged as we go forward here as those teams that can. Texas A&M in the tournament a couple of years ago was like this to the hilt. And that's how that game unfolded. Like Nebraska got dominated on the offensive glass and it was too many second chance points to sustain. So that would be my plan if I were trying to beat this Nebraska team was let's get to the hoop. Everybody get to the hoop because if it comes off the rim, we're going to try and get that too.
Vogues on the portal front, quick immediate reaction. Stoudemire is what we kind of started with before you hopped on. That's the get you get from Boston College. It's kind of a checkered past medically, but you're hoping he has one more healthy rodeo. If you're Nebraska, you've added 3 on the defensive line. You've gone JUCO on the defensive line. You've gone pretty heavy with the linebacker role, which is good. And you got a new official defensive line and secondary coach. That was the announcement yesterday. You've been pretty heavy where you've reshifted on the offensive line. And Elijah, any update on the Baylor kid, Nebraska? Was it Tompkins?
Yeah, that's been an interesting where he, off the bat, committed to North Carolina out of the portal, but the prevailing thought for about a week and a half has now been that he's not going to end up at North Carolina. I don't think there has been a flip in that commitment just yet, but I know Nebraska was picking up some steam there within the last couple of days.
All right, so he's another tackle. So Nebraska's Pritchett and Evans returning. You got Gatula in the fold.
Sorry, correction. Just saw this from last night. He committed to LSU.
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah.
So delete. But overall, Nebraska looks to have their options for an offensive line. You've got quarterback competition aplenty, maybe some movement at running back. And I think Nebraska's been pretty fiscally responsible. They've not been cheap, and I don't know how much they've overspent in some of these arms races to bring in, but they've won. They've won the commitment in the portal. So what does it all mean? Well, I guess at the end of February as they ramp up to a March 28th spring game.
Yeah, I think at this stage, and there's still time for additions. It's not like the portal, because it's closed now, is done, of course. Guys are still on visits. The Miami and Indiana players have a window after Monday night's game. Not that I expect that to be that fruitful for Nebraska or for there to be a ton of departures there. But at this point, it seems likely to me that this transfer class is going to be in line with most of Nebraska's previous transfer classes. It is not going to be the class where you look at it and say, oh, that's why Nebraska's better in 2026. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. There's some good players in here. There's some immediate impact players. Chambliss, I think Calandria could be that. You've got some of those, but it's not going to be the reason in May that we're talking about Nebraska, with a preseason win total of 8.5. And that's what it is. And, I think Stoudemire from Boston College is a good example of that. Like, you got an experienced guy. You need reinforcements on the D line, Is he a no-brainer, a guy that you're just like, oh yeah, that's a day one starter? Good job for Nebraska on getting him. No, probably not. And I think that's a lot of the class here, and that's okay.
Brandon, one of the spots that a lot of Husker fans had circled all through the portal period was the running backs. Nebraska did not make really any headway on any guys out of the portal. And Matt Rhule last night saying that they believe in the guys in the room. Those are the guys they're going to roll with for the season. We'll see. Could there be a late addition still? Well, potentially. But it sounds like it's going to be Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey at the running back spot next year. How does that strike you?
It's a narrow path. I think they've left themselves. Like even one addition, an FCS back or something, just another body in the room to compete there is probably what I would have preferred. That said, like maybe you can make it with just a committee approach, which I think is what Nebraska would be. I did like what I saw from Nelson in the bowl game, and realistically, like if you're not going to get one of the top line guys out there, it makes that a little bit easier, I think, to take of, good offense is good offense. And as nice as it is to have a singular running back, to have a guy like Emmett Johnson, you could watch it and you're just like, oh, he's willing you to like 3 extra yards just on his own. That's not a lot of offenses in college football. So if the overall offense improves as a whole, I think it could be fine. So then the question becomes, how confident are you in the offense improving as a whole? And I don't have an answer to that yet at this early stage.
From an optimistic point of view, it's hard not to be optimistic with the type of player Calandria is, just because it doesn't depend on having a dominant offensive line. It doesn't, because of the way he moves.
Gets out of a lot of trouble, doesn't he?
Right. It just feels like it's one of those. It feels like it's one of those equalizers. And the fact that he's going to be a 4th-year guy, and the fact that he's won the starting job 3 years in a row at 2 different programs, tells you that he probably practices pretty well. He probably comes to work, quite a bit. You're not going to start as a true freshman unless you're like that. I think that it just appears that the offense is going to be a wholesale change from what we've seen the past 3 years under Rhule, and then for a couple of those years, Holgorsen. And then if you pair him with Nelson in the backfield, now you have a couple of live wires, right? Like you got some dynamic, fast, quick threats back there. I just don't think it just feels like the offense is not going to be anything like what we've seen the last few years. It's a total shift.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Mark. That's another, potential chaser if you don't like the way the not adding a running back went down. Well, you can add some QB run to this, which changes things. And if I do think one of the spots where Nebraska has upgraded, perhaps significantly, is on the offensive line, not just through the transfer portal, but through hiring. So you add those things up. Yeah, Mekhi Nelson isn't Marty Brown from Miami, and I know people still hold out hope for that, and who knows, maybe. He's not the guy that you can point to and be like, well, there's your back. Like it's 900-yard guy at worst, and that'll be great. You just give him the ball at least 20 times a game. Maybe you don't need that. Whether through design QB run or Calandria's ability to make plays, like there are ways to have an effective run game without having, 2 of the top 30 or 40 backs in college football.
Brendan Vogel with this, counterread.com. Vogues, tell us about the rest of your weekend and how folks can get on board and be a part of Counter Read.
Yeah, I'll be taking in Husker Hoops this afternoon, of course, and then next newsletter comes on Monday. Counter Read's a weekly newsletter, well, multiple times a week, newsletter from myself and Aaron Sorensen. So you can head to counterread.com and check out what we're up to there. Working on some thoughts about Indiana. I know it's been popular. Rhule certainly likes to bring up Indiana. So we'll go there in advance of the Monday night's national title game, and kind of not necessarily make a direct comparison to Nebraska, but just what is there to actually be learned from Indiana. So that's what's coming up next for me.
Do you look at Indiana as this just once in a lifetime hit, not one hit wonder, but just hit, where a guy who had to really grind away from learning from his dad, who was tremendous, to, being part of that Bobby Bowden groom with Amato at NC State, and then you go to Saban. And it's been an incredible 2 years. And I don't know about you, but I thought they'd be like, 8-4, 9-3 this year.
Yeah.
They are better than advertised. They're way better. They're dominant. They're killing people.
Yeah, I was looking at, in preparation for what I'm working on for Monday, I was looking at some of their numbers. It blew me away. They've got twice as many scoring opportunities as their opponents this year. I mean, drives across the 40. So like, no wonder you're undefeated. Like you get 2 chances to get at least 3 points for every one your opponent gets. Like, it's remarkable. And it does feel a little bit singular, like Will Chamberlain's 100-point game or any other sports record that you might consider unbreakable. Like, sure, some guys will get in the 70s, they'll score 70 points. But like, it's just so outside the norm that it does feel, while not a record, so it's not unbreakable, it does feel a little bit untouchable to a degree. And I'll be super interested to watch that Monday night game. Like, it's bizarre to me that Indiana's 8.5 points, viewed as 8.5 points better, or whatever the line's at now, than this Miami team, which I also think is pretty good, but pretty excited to see what happens there.
Yeah.
Vogues will get caught up next week. Appreciate you as always, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Brandon.
Good stuff from Brandon Vogel with Counter Read. So our old buddy, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Sharpie texted me last night. The plan was Sharpie was headed off to Tulsa. UNO's at Tulsa today.
Yep.
For basketball. So he's
the play-by-play guy for that.
Are they at Tulsa?
Is that right? Yeah.
I think it's Oral Roberts in Tulsa, I think. Because I think it's the meeting of Gary Sharp and then our old friend Connor Clark.
No, I know that, yes. So, but I think he said, let me pull it up here. Tulsa. Yeah. So
who knows where is Oral Roberts in Tulsa? I don't even know.
I think it is. Yeah. I thought so too. Yeah. It's Gary and Connor. While they may have lunch or dinner tonight or this afternoon, Sharpie's flight is not getting in till, we'll be gone is the point. So he is not with us this morning. He sends his apologies. That was not the intention. Gary will be with us tomorrow at 10:30 for Sunday Live. So you want to hear from Sharpie and his take on things, as we all do. He'll be with us tomorrow. Yeah. But today it didn't work out flight-wise, and that was a last-minute thing versus a thing that was planned, I guess, is the best way to put it. So his apologies to the Joes out there, but he'll be with us tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, in exciting news, the Average Joe merch page is up and running.
Can we show it?
Yes, but first I'm gonna ask this question, and I like the debate going on in the stream here between Matt Rhule's coaching tree, success or so. Folks are fired up this morning here, and guys, it just feels like from a support of the program standpoint, I think there's a lot of Nebraska fans that are frustrated clearly at 7-6. There's a situation where Nebraska fans are expecting more, and I think the head man and his reshuffling his staff for trying to give you that. That being said, there's not a ton of patience right now. Doesn't year 4 feel weighted and enormous right now?
Well,
I'm not talking like job security because his contract is his contract. I'm just saying for, your buy-in with where the fan base is actually at, and then kind of the hope and outlook.
Well,
to be honest,
this is a gut punch. This Ekeler news is a gut punch, and I don't think it's as devastating on the field as it is devastating to the mindset of Husker fans.
Well, it's the perception part of this, right? It just looks bad, and it's a long line of just stuff that kind of pours cold water on your momentum. You got to make your own momentum on the field by, getting over the hump against Michigan. You lose by 3, you fight your ass off. That's progress. You look at what happened against USC. You lose by 4. You're right there. Your dude breaks his leg. He stays healthy. You win that football game. But then he departs, right?
Perception-wise, this Ekeler news, it feels like the one guy on staff that brought it on the sideline and kind of had the culture in his unit that felt like Husker football is now out the door. And it almost feels like it's a guy that saw the writing on the wall of, okay, this place, the culture I bring, this is not the place that wants the culture I bring. And that kind of is underscored by what Rhule said last night in his comments about, well, we want guys that play special teams, that use the special teams to go and win, not special teams for the sake of playing special teams. Well, I don't care what the hell the guys in the field are playing for if they go out and get results. And the culture that Coach Ekeler instilled brought results in the special teams. And now you see the most successful coordinator since Matt Rhule has showed up on campus. The flip in 1 year was astounding, to say the least, after almost a decade of poor special teams play. And now he's out the door because, the culture that he instilled doesn't line up with the culture of the head coach. Well, the culture that Coach Ekeler instilled was winning, at least for the special teams.
Well,
it brought a culture that led to results from the special teams. And, that didn't line up with the culture of the program. So he's out the door. It's a gut punch. It just feels like something is broken internally.
Well, there's the question of,
and whether, sorry, I want to add quickly, whether that perception is the reality of what's going on in the building is irrelevant to this conversation. It's the perception right now of the fan base of, well, the most successful guy is out the door because he doesn't like the culture around here. That's the perception right now, and that's what feels like a gut punch.
And you have preached and shouted culture, because that's your forte, man. That's why you got hired. That's why you've been hired. That's why you were so coveted, is you come in, you build culture, you build it the right way, and then you're off and running. And that pouring of concrete is so important. Yeah, the motive versus results. Results really matter. But the why you go and do things is also important. And to me, I've never looked at Mike Ekeler and his persona as selfish or showboating. It's just him.
No, it's trying to get guys motivated to do boring things.
He's
protect on a field goal unit.
He's the teacher that you actually want to go to class for. Think about that.
Yeah,
growing up.
It's been a really bad end to the season. I mean, let's just call it what it is, right?
Between results and now this narrative out in the open here that Rhule's talked about twice now on airwaves.
You got drubbed by Penn State, drubbed by Iowa, destroyed by Utah. You lost your 5-star quarterback. The one unit that showed huge improvement, special teams, you lose that coordinator. Right. There just hasn't been a lot of good news really since we hit November 1st.
The good news is you're getting a spring game on the 28th of March where it's going to be competition, right? It's going to look like a spring game. It's not this slap ass, whatever the hell last spring was, where you're just wasting time and donating money.
And on top of that, you lose Keona Davis, which, it's not like he was a star or anything, but a high potential, high upside, good body.
Could have been.
Right. But just athletic and big, good size, the same type of person you're looking for in the portal you had. Right. And then he's a departure. And then in the portal, In terms of impact guys, Calandria, you'd have to say is right up there. And then you hope for
I
some
like
of the others.
Babalade a lot. Kid out of South Carolina, the tackle.
Yeah, maybe, right? Like he seems good. But you're not getting I don't know. You're like a Marty Brown type from Miami hasn't necessarily.
I think you make a run at him still. And Lance, this is a lot of the Nebraska fans' reaction right now. Lance chiming in here on the stream. Apparently, Ekeler was getting too much attention. Rhule wants all eyes on him. I don't know. I'm not in that building, man, but as much camera and microphone time as a head man gets, and that's his forte is communication. That was the tone and last night.
And I think this kind of nails it. I think it's a little bit insane that's the perception. But the reality doesn't matter when that is the perception. That is the feel from the outside that, well, Rhule's just jealous of the attention Ekeler's getting. So
too much shine on Eck, man.
I don't think that's true, but if that's the perception, sometimes perception is reality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether or not that's true is kind of irrelevant today because that is the feeling among the fan base.
Listen, he's lost. He's losing. Yeah, well, it's because he's losing the benefit of the doubt, and he's lost some credibility with the fans. Right? This was year 3. This is where it turns. It didn't turn. You had incremental improvement. It wasn't horrible, but it was just kind of a little bit of improvement. He's secured one more win each year. So it's I don't know. And so the more he talks, as there are seemingly Baghdad Bob situations happening all around him, right? You losing your 5-star quarterback, losing the offensive line coach, losing the way you lost at the end of the year. It's just fans are just kind of like, all right, enough talk. And it just so happens to be the year when he launches a podcast that no other head coach on the planet is doing with Cuzzo.
Well, and weekly
kid.
Weekly hits with McAfee. And listen, I think, with Rhule, it's Gertrude. Hang on. Good for him promoting the program, right? Because they don't have marquee wins right now to do the talking for him. So by any means necessary to get the Nebraska brand out there to keep eyeballs and top mind awareness. Eventually those wins on the field and those recruiting wins got to get developed and be a difference maker on Saturday. Right now, the best strength he has is being accessible and going on McAfee or doing a podcast hit. And right now, Nebraska fans just say, dude, go win some ball games versus the appearances.
Yeah, Kobe, no, I'm not dumb. Kobe in the stream says, or maybe I am dumb. I don't know. No other coach has a weekly show. Are you dumb, Mark? No, I'm saying no other coach has a weekly podcast that he hosts where he's interviewing
whoever.
He's interviewing motivational speakers. He's interviewing his own players. He's,
interviewing on 3 national hosts.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nobody else does that. Of course, people have a weekly radio show. That's been going on forever. I'm talking about the podcast that's branded where it's called House Rules, and he's welcoming everybody and he's pitching products during it. I mean, it's just a straight up podcast, right? It's like when anybody else had. And during a season, that's rare. In fact, I don't think anybody else does it. Unless I'm tripping. I don't think anybody else, any other sitting head coach does that. And I'm fine with it. I'm fine with him doing it. What I'm saying is if you falter like you do in November, and then you also have things like that, it just gives fans more things to pick at, right? And fans right now are picking at quite a bit at Rhule in terms of the management of the program. It's like he has lost. He's just lost a little bit of credibility with the fan base. I think most people were all in. I think most people were saying, "Hey, yeah, this is good. Get Holgorsen in here. He's gonna unleash this offense under Raiola." Hasn't really happened. Raiola's leaving, right? It's so there's just been a lot of tumultuous change, and Nebraska fans are looking for a little bit more stability and much higher performance. And it just hasn't come yet. It just hasn't. So will it this year when it's Nebraska's toughest schedule probably since 2021?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see the additions. I'm excited to see the coaching. I'm excited to see the development. I'm excited to see the style at quarterback. Bring it on. And it could go great. It could go terrible. It could be somewhere in between. But I'm here for it. I think the schedule in year 4 is exactly the test you need. Show where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you got all three playoff teams on the schedule.
Good, and two of them are at home. If you're a Nebraska fan,
yeah, you get 2 at home. You get Oregon on the road. So yeah, it's going to be a stiff test this year. 2021 is probably the closest comp, right? That was a pretty tough schedule for Nebraska too, and that's what you want. That's what you want. I just think it's a situation where how much confidence do fans have that you're going to see a record improvement? That you're going to see. I think a better season with that schedule.
Oh no, your temperature right now is make a bowl.
Yeah.
Based on the schedule.
Which, to his credit, he's gotten Nebraska to a bowl twice.
Well, the expectation for Nebraska is something we talked about. Can Husker fans see from the outside looking in that the foundation of this program is stable? And I think win-loss to the side, if the foundation of the program is stable, I think it leads to you making a bowl game. But that is what is in doubt to me right now. Is the foundation what is setting this program up for success? Not the minutia, not the necessarily talent on the field, but do you have the right culture? Do you have the right coaches in the building? Do you have a strength and conditioning program that improves players through the offseason and gets them ready for the rigors of a Big Ten season? Are all the foundation pieces, you can get in front of a mic and say, man, this program is in so much better of a place than where we found it whenever we took over a couple of years ago. You can get up in front of a mic and say that, but can you see with your own 2 eyes that, hey, coaches are getting their position groups better throughout the season? The team from a strength, conditioning, speed, athleticism point of view seems to match the other teams in the Big Ten that you're trying to go compete with. Does the culture that the team has whenever they get in front of a mic, whenever they're on the football field, does it look like what it needs to look like? Less than the minutia of, well, can you go and beat a school like Ohio State or Indiana or Oregon? I'm putting that to the side. Is the foundation of the football program stable next season? Yeah. And I think we all know what that looks like, and it hasn't looked like that under Matt Rhule. I mean, there's been moments, there's been flashes of, oh, it looks better. Does the foundation look set in stone? No, I think that's proven by what this offseason has been with all the new assistant coaches and the roster turnover you've had in the transfer portal. Can the foundation be set next season? That's what I'm looking for.
You have a chance to have that foundation harden, all right, Elijah, and then be very sturdy. If you got it right. Did you get your offensive line hires right? Did you get your defensive coordinator hire right? Did you get your defensive line hire right? And most importantly, did you get your talent evaluation right with the portal additions? All of that, it's out there. You can listen, no one's perfect. You can screw up, but right now the batting average just hasn't been great, or at least that performance hasn't translated peak performance level when you bring somebody in for Nebraska fans' liking, right? Your original hires, and some guys you had to settle for, it sounds like, financially, haven't done the job. You've had to move on, or they've moved on. That's why this Ekeler thing's such a big deal. And your coordinator shifts are not because you're Dabo Swinney or Dan Lanning. Guys aren't hiring your right-hand and left-hand guys away because they're winning. You're having to dismiss them. That's the big difference.
It seems like, again, from an optimistic point of view, it seems like he's making moves that back up what he said when he got here originally, right? Which is, let's keep in mind, Nebraska had trouble running the ball in year 1. They had trouble running the ball in year 2. This year it got better, and a lot of it was really extraordinary effort by Emmett, but the offensive line also got better at run blocking, like within the scheme as the year went along too. But he's talked about that, how we need to run the ball, we need to stop the run. want to be aggressive on defense, want to attack. With John Butler, you didn't really know what you were going to get as a defensive coordinator because he just hadn't done it a lot. And as Rhule said himself, he made John Butler kind of run the same defense as Tony White. But now you're bringing in an Orich that, from San Diego State, where that's what he does, is he has an attacking defense that causes havoc, that creates turnovers, that makes plays in the backfield. Like, that's their style. A little bit more boom and bust, a little bit more gambler, but it causes havoc. It causes problems. That's what he's put in place. Then you bring in a quarterback like Calandria, and that's exactly what Calandria is too, right? He's a true dual threat. He can hurt you on the ground. He can make you pay through the air. It's a little turnover prone, a little bit.
But it got better, Mark.
Like that. Well, and it did. But I'm just saying, and then also
Still
the offensive linemen that he has attracted, and they're in the portal, their Pro Football Focus grades aren't great as pass protectors. It's just not. They're just not great, but they're really good run blockers, all of them. So it appears that he's trying to put into place maybe what his original vision was, again, from an optimistic point of view, because I think that's what he was planning on all along. And then all of a sudden, Dylan Raiola landed in his lap a week before signing day, and it just changed the calculus a little bit. You're like, oh, God, got a 5-star quarterback. The guy can light it up through the air. I think it just changed how he approached things.
But remember,
and
Mark,
it appears now he's making moves. It appears he's making moves to truly be that attacking, big plays on defense, big plays on offense, more of an explosive team overall instead of a careful conservative team.
But remember, Mark,
Right.
this offseason isn't a reset.
Well, call it whatever you want. Right? You can call it whatever you want. It's semantics to me. Okay. That's fine if he says that, because in his head, he's like, no, it's still my program and we're just running my program. But from an optimistic POV, an Anthony Calandria offense is very different than a Dylan Raiola offense. Both can work, but they're drastically different styles. Drastically. Going from a 3-3-5 to a 4-2-5, I don't know. Most defenses are multiple these days anyways, but it's really about how often do you blitz? How effective is it? Right? How many turnovers do you create? How much havoc do you create? Nebraska didn't really do that.
It's every scheme out there. If it's being run in college football or anywhere, it's because it can work if you have the right personnel. Can you line up the personnel with the system you have in place defensively? Because last year, the personnel you had did not come close to fitting the defense you were trying to run. That's a simple task for the defensive coordinator. I could care less. You could run a one-man defensive front if you have the personnel to run it. I don't care. I don't care if it's a 3-man front, a 4-man front, a 5-man front. I don't care if you have 8 guys in the box. I don't care if you got 3 guys in the box. If it gets results, that's all that matters. And every single defensive scheme out there can get results with the right personnel. Did you go out in the transfer portal and find the personnel that can run Coach Orich's defense? Or to flip that around, can Coach Orich adjust his defense to fit the personnel that he has in the building? That's the task on the defensive side of the ball.
And we all know that sorry, Chris, just real quick. And we all know that on any one of those units, 1-year turnarounds are possible. You're seeing examples of that across college football. We've seen it at Nebraska too. Bo Pelini in 03 came in, completely changed the defense. Coming back in 08, completely changed the defense. Tony White completely changed the defense. So the 1-year special teams, Mike Ekeler completely changed special teams. 1-year turnarounds are completely possible. You just don't know, as we sit here right now in January, if the moves that he has made are going to do that. You just don't know until the ball kicks off, right? Until the season kicks off. Just don't know.
Totally wait and see on it. And the tackling and the physicality and the getting pushed around part.
Yeah.
All 3 of those things need to be drastically better.
Rhule said last night, point blank, what we've been saying on this show and every fan has been saying on every show throughout the year. You got to get better on the offensive and defensive lines.
He
said that point blank
for sure. Huh?
Yeah, he said that point blank. You bring in a new offensive line coach. You got a couple new looks on the defensive line, coaching wise. Got a new defensive coordinator, so he's making the changes. Will they work? That's what you don't know. To Elijah's point about the stability portion, like, okay, you can make changes all you want, but is it stable? Is it going to work? Are guys picking up what you're putting down? Are you going to get the performance that you're looking for? We just don't know, because we're relying on, you mentioned you like Tree Babalade or whatever his name is from South Carolina, the offensive tackle that's coming in. But how much do we really know about how good he is or isn't going to be? I don't know. It feels like Calandria is the one, probably Calandria and Gilmer are the two people that you can look at and you can pretty easily project how they're going to look. With the other offensive line transfers, you'll see. You'll see. But they are experienced guys, right? Brendan Black from Iowa State played a lot. I mean, 50-some starts or something like that. So it appears Nebraska is getting older. You're getting more experienced, but you don't have a whole lot of time to make it all gel together, right? It's got to happen quick, and it just feels like right now he doesn't have the benefit of the doubt that he had maybe before from a few years ago.
And now, Mark, to tie this into another recent announcement, what do you want to see in the bowl game? Or not the bowl games, you do the spring game?
I don't put a ton of stock into that one. I am curious what the defense is gonna look like schematically, I guess, but I don't know. Are the quarterbacks in green jerseys? If they're in green jerseys, I don't know. What can you really
you need a portion of the green jersey era, and you need non-green jersey, because they need to get used to the speed of the game and the contact of the game, so you're not getting strip sacked and fumbled in the third quarter, because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Do we think we see a bench press competition this year's spring game?
No.
Maybe 3-point shooting contest. How about the wing eating? That was fun. Everyone liked that.
As long as we get to compete in it this year, I'm okay. That's Mark Kraynak, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt, Pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman on assignment in Denver today. The Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, en route to Tulsa today. So thanks for hanging with us. The Sunday Live back at you at 10:30 tomorrow. So we've hit a lot on the portal. We've touched a lot on the Ekeler saga all week, and more comments from Matt Rhule tonight. Like and subscribe. Those numbers keep going up. We appreciate you doing the Average Joe YouTube thing 7 days a week. We're on the radio on the Average Joe Network Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 across the state. So check that out as well. Find on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod. Without further ado, Elijah has been doing wonderful work with the merch. And I always get a kick out of the movie Flight with Denzel Washington, and then John Goodman's character. He's the shady drug dealer that brings all the cocaine to Denzel Washington and then gets him straightened out before his congressional testimony. Not congressional, but you get the point. And keep your hands off the merch. John Goodman, so good there. Elijah's had his hands all over the merch. You want to unveil to the Average Joes what you've been doing?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure the best way to go about doing that. Can I? Let's see.
I think you should screen share it.
Share my screen here, I believe.
Yeah. I think
this is pretty cool. So we are giving you a chance to purchase.
Oh my God.
Average Joe stuff, which is
look
awesome.
at that. Look at that logo.
Really cool gear. And
for the low price of $84.99, you can get that Adidas quarter zip. I mean, come on.
Well,
it's perfect.
See, look at this. It's fan. I mean, the Average Joe hats are really cool. You've got the golf polo and then the Hawaiian shirt.
Now look at that. That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm waiting for one more thing from Kraynak here as we get into the 9 o'clock hour.
Oh, we'll have basketball to talk about one more thing here in a bit.
Yeah. So scroll. You got your pint glass. You got your Average Joe stocking hat for all of us. You got the koozie.
Yeah.
And then you got the golf lid. Yeah, the two types of koozies.
Got your rope lid.
What the hell? We got
swimming trunks.
We got swimming trunks and bikini. And then we also have some bundle options here. Let's see. That comes with a shirt, a hoodie, a hat, and a coffee mug or a pint glass, depending on what you'd like to do.
Is
So
there
hold on, all for just $100?
Yeah.
Oh my
Really?
God. Get
All
your Christmas,
free? Wow.
get your Christmas shopping done early. You know?
So plenty of things to choose from. I'm still creating more. I am partial.
Yeah.
What is this? What is? Show me that. Give me what's the
This
Gertie
is
shirt?
this is the shirt. This is the shirt right here. This is the shirt right here. This is a little collab between me and Elijah yesterday.
I like it. The Mad German was missing much of the month of October because she thought mommy didn't love her. So, and you hear and see Gertrude, the German Shepherd, the Mad German, quite often on Saturday mornings as she'll pop up. Or
this is a dog he's talking about.
Yes.
FYI, to clarify, everybody.
Yeah, it's my dog.
Yeah.
So Rocco says you guys couldn't get a model to show off the bikini.
We're working on it. We're working on that.
You are actually.
Yeah. It's not me. It's not me. Alexis down the hall here said she and her friends wanted to, and I'm like, that's crazy, but okay, if you want to.
I have not asked the bunny if she'll don it or not. She's not a sun or water person. She's really not a people person. Yeah, that's right. Elijah's been in contact with Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But I do have the link for our merch page up in the bio of our Twitter page. I'll work to get it up on our YouTube as well. I know this is not the best way to do things, but I'll just throw it in the comments of the live chat here on YouTube as well. So throw that in there for you.
Can you tweet out from the account?
I'm going to tweet it out. I'll put it up on our Instagram page. I'll drop a little link on our YouTube. I think you should be able to find it from our podcast landing page as well.
Okay.
But it is the Average Joe Sports Show Fourth Wall is what it is called. So if you search up, let me live test this actually.
Are we gonna put a picture of Gertrude on the back, or is it just the front?
For now, no, we got to work on that.
Listen, it's about minimum viable product when you start, and then you iterate, and then you have, then you have more options as we go along. I was trying to figure out, like, how do you show a greasy half-life chicken leg on a shirt? Like, that'd be kind of hard. Would people even know what that is? Like, it's fun though. Good stuff, man.
So the Average Joe Sports Show merch page live. It's up. It's ready to go. I will say we have not tested to make sure all of these products are perfect. I have heard good reports on this website. I know a couple of other different podcasts that have used this and have heard good things about it.
You've done the research.
We've done the research. We have not had all these products in hand.
Yeah.
So that is one thing to note here. I will be 100% honest with you, but I've heard very good things about the printing process and the embroidery process from this site in particular. So
I think what you meant to say was be one of the first to get these products for bargain basement prices.
You may have the products before we do, which is a selling point. So looking forward to the merch page. It's a great way to support us in the Average Joe Sports Show. Help us continue doing podcasts and live radio shows all year long by getting yourself a shirt, a hoodie, a hat, whatever it may be.
Well, and the other part of it too is, I mean, there's a couple. It's like you're on the verge of getting a portal, a monster portal edition. There's a couple other shirts that are out there we're thinking about. The Iron Horse T-shirt, correct?
The Iron Horse. I am working on a One More Thing shirt,
and that's a Kraynak tribute. Then we need some sort of Fairbury tribute for Dolman, the Pride of Fairbury.
Yeah,
we just need an AJSS and then a mustache for you, Elijah.
Yeah, we need a
mustache.
We need something with your ceiling fan.
No,
I just no. That's a constant topic. We need something for Brandon's bookshelves.
I already got the Gertie one. I'm good.
The temperature of Gary's hotel room.
Yeah. Need something like that.
We need executioner's mask for my wife.
What if it was a hat that had like 5 hats on it? Because there have been times where on the 5 box, all of us are wearing a hat, and then people talk about that. So it could be a hat that shows 5 hats.
You can just do the 5, like the Hollywood Squares setup. If we could do kind of a cartoon caricature of the Joes.
Yeah, we probably need an Average Joe design contest too, where the folks in the stream, like the best idea wins, and then that goes into the product store.
You've got, your Hollywood Squares idea where you've got Elijah, you've got Kraynak, you got Dolman, you got Sharpie, the Iron Horse, you got Vogel, me, and then Gertie. The Hollywood Square. Remember Kraynak, the 80s cartoon T-shirts? Like, the LA Lakers world champions where
sure.
The caricature.
Yeah.
We did an Average Joe T-shirt 20 years ago with my co-host at the time, and it was a caricature of my face, my fat face, and Seth was the co-host at the time. And it was funny. My wife was taking care of a lady who was having a baby at the hospital, and that she was wearing that shirt when she came in to have her baby.
Perfect. So, I had one of those of Frank Minifield and Hanford Dixon, the two diminutive corners from the Cleveland Browns back in the day. That was a good one too. Yeah, we could have the caricatures. We could have. There's so many options, and it seems like it's pretty easy on that platform to launch new products, right? Which is a good thing. In the stream, the Average Joe host calendar. I don't know.
There's going to be a lot of George Costanza couch pictures.
The sexy podcast host yearly calendar. You get one of each every single month.
Great. Yeah. We got to think about phone cases. We got to think about. There's so many products out there that we could. Jeez.
One more.
Bold of you to assume they're free, James.
Jay Leno.
When you grow out the beard, you look like God. What's his name from?
I'm more Benicio del Toro.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Benicio del Toro. Exactly.
Or Ron. Is it Livingston from Office Space?
Okay.
Been told both of those.
I'll have to look that one up.
And then the Vogue's comp is KGB from Rounders.
Okay. See?
With
or it's Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, there it is.
Clausburn probably needs one, a holiday themed one, right?
Oh, yeah. I did have, so this one has been brought up. I've been trying to work on this one, the Sleep Pod shirt. I've been thinking about a shirt that I've been how about Sleep Pods, Starbucks, Nebraska football?
Mm-hmm.
There's something there. I don't know. A lot's been ruminating in my head. I do appreciate all the help from the stream chat of the shirts people want. If you have an idea, send it our way. I can throw it together. I can get it on a shirt very quickly. So I am turning to the people, all the average Joes out there, for help with ideas for t-shirt designs. I'll throw it together, but the ideation process is something I'm still going through. So if you have an idea, feel free to send it our way.
Or Eric says the caricatures of the AJ Sports Show bikinis would be funny.
A 745-ish shirt.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Vince, thanks for checking in from Napa, dude. Elijah, are you going to slap on the old Average Joe logo on your candles? I think you put your candles on here.
That was an option from this site. Now, I'm not sure if it's ready-made candles or if it was just the jar. I just need the jar.
Okay. Elijah makes his own candles.
What?
Yeah.
You do?
He's
out of
great
what?
at it.
Out of soy?
Out of what? Soy wax, yeah. Got my own wax. The most expensive part, the fragrances and the wax and the wicks, that's all cheap. The expensive part's the freaking jars. Jars will cost you a damn arm and a leg if you want anything that's not like an empty beer can or a mason jar.
Do you sell at farmers markets and stuff?
No, I give them to my family and friends for birthdays and Christmases. And use them in my own home.
Well, here's that. Elijah, get a farmer's market set up in the A market. We'll set up next to our buddy at Triple B.
The average, right.
We can do the show while you hawk candles.
Yeah, the Average Joe Sports Show Candle Company.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the Average Joe Candle Company, I think is just we could shorten that down.
Yeah, probably could.
So MK wants more Gertie.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot with Gertie. I mean, if you think about like Gertie plus Coyote, right? Like that could be a whole thing.
Well, she's wearing her Santa sweater right now.
They had like a one-day romance. Gertie and the Coyote had a one-day romance.
You don't know that that's what it was. Was it?
I mean,
you never know.
It appeared that way. It appeared that way.
She's giving you a look right now, Kraynak.
She was like, "Look, I was hungry. I was on the lam. I made bad decisions.
I had to do
made
whatever.
bad decisions."
Basketball. Let's get it there before we.
And that coyote was so wild. I always like
one more thing.
Schmidt said it. Okay.
Yeah, one more thing here.
One more thing. You taking the points in Northwestern, or are you taking the big red and laying down the points?
What are the points?
5.5. Nebraska's favored.
That tells you about Northwestern, how close they've kept it. I mean, that's an 0 for team in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Still only 5.5 point dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska's struggled in that arena, though.
Yeah, but everything about this matchup tells me Nebraska maybe not should roll, but this is not one of the matchups that scares me, this Northwestern team. They don't shoot the 3-ball a lot. They don't shoot the 3-ball great. They love getting to the rim. They love getting downhill. That's like the strength of Nebraska's defense. It's the no middle defense. They're going to double team anyone that's coming on the baseline. They're going to make sure you can't get any passes into the paint. They try to force the 3. That's not where Northwestern's comfortable. That being said, that's the right way to put this. This Northwestern team has a way of keeping things close. They have the grit. I think Nebraska is the more talented team, and I think Nebraska stylistically matches up really well with this Northwestern team, but Northwestern is gritty and hangs around in a lot of basketball games for a reason. That's the only concern I have, because stylistically, I think Nebraska lives for a matchup like this with a team. Nebraska wants to force you to shoot the 3, and then they'll beat you in a 3-point shooting contest. Northwestern is not a team that will even come close, in my opinion, unless they just get on a heater to beating Nebraska in a 3-point shooting contest. And I think from what I've seen from Nebraska's defense, I trust that they can take away what Northwestern likes to do. But Northwestern's got grit, and they find a way to keep games close.
So the difference is you've got a fraction of the ability. You have two teams that out effort you, Northwestern and Nebraska. You play smart basketball. You make the winning plays. You out hustle and do the boxing out little things, taking care of the basketball, all these things that more talented teams keep that door open for you by not being as focused or disciplined. But Nebraska just has way more firepower. And if Martinelli's off today, Northwestern can't win. There's not a second or third option. There's a second option that had a good game against Illinois on Wednesday night, but for the most part, the consistency's been pretty bad for Northwestern if Martinelli's not going off. Nebraska has shown the ability, fellas, to, all right, if Rink's off, if Jamarcus is off, here's Price or here's Frager, right? You've had a different wingman in some of these road wins. And your stars always haven't had to star, because the sum here chips in where you'll have 4 or 5 double-digit guys, and everyone's making different and big shots in some clutch moments. So, I picked Northwestern last night just to keep the jinx going. Right, every time we pick against Nebraska, they keep winning. This is fun.
You know what I was thinking about when I was watching the Oregon game, which, by the way, 40 spot on a Dana Altman coach team, hello.
It doesn't happen.
It's just, get out of here. What is
it? Was the first time that it happened to Oregon. That was their worst margin of defeat in 8 years.
Markowski nailed it this week, saying, Dana hates this team. The effort wasn't great. I mean, all these things were true, but Nebraska still made somebody look that bad.
One thing I was thinking about watching that game when Jared Garcia came in, I was trying to think, is there on any other Nebraska team of the last 10 to 15 years, Jared Garcia is playing a lot. He's playing a ton. He is a regular in the rotation. And somehow this team is good enough to where you can afford to just bring that guy off the bench and spot duty, and it's okay. Right? Because he does give you a nice spark, gives you some good athleticism, can put it on the floor as a big guy. The fact that he does not get minutes tells you a lot about the level that this team is playing at. And it's also promising, knock on wood, Nebraska's been pretty fortunate from an injury standpoint and those kinds of things, but it also tells you that's the caliber of player you have waiting in the wings if something like that happened and you had to kind of mix up your rotation because you lost somebody to injury, you have somebody like a Jared Garcia who's super experienced, been a double-digit scorer, close to double-digit rebounder at his previous locations, at his previous schools. And this dude's not getting anywhere in tear right now. He's getting, 10 minutes a game, if that. And he's come through. I can't remember exactly which game that was, but where he was kind of the difference down the stretch. I think it was in the first conference game.
He was huge in the Illinois game.
Illinois, that's what it was, right? Where he was kind of that spark that came in. I think he scored 8 in the span of like 5 minutes or so. And that guy hardly ever even plays. And he doesn't seem to be bothered by it either. That's the other
wants
thing.
to win, man.
Right? And so it is such an impressive squad. I am curious to see how they respond today when a lot of these conference games so far, Nebraska's played some name teams, right? Played some teams that that get your attention. Wisconsin, Illinois, Oregon, Michigan State. Those guys get your attention. Northwestern isn't one of those schools. And it's also in one of those arenas that kind of like their old football stadium. It's just an oversized high school gym. Right, it's a different atmosphere. Nebraska struggled there, especially shooting. So I'm curious to see how they get up for a team that is bottom of the conference, probably the worst facilities in the Big Ten, on the road after an extended break after they won by 40. Right, like what's their motivation level like? All signs point to it'll be just fine because this team truly does seem to embrace that one game at a time mentality. But that'll be tested today. That'll be tested today big time.
What else will be tested today is my commitment to my job. Work-wise, I should be watching Husker basketball. Fandom-wise, I'll be watching my Broncos.
You have two screens, don't you?
Well, I don't have multiple TVs. No, well, I do, but do I want to do all that work? I could pull one up on my phone.
You have like a 75-inch in your living room. Can't you dual box it on YouTube?
Dual box is overrated. I'll say it. Whenever there's like 2 games you actually care about, I want one of them on. I got the 70-inch TV in the living room. I want all 70 inches on my Broncos. Yeah. So maybe I'll pull it up the Husker game on my phone. Maybe I'll just hope and pray that halftime of the Broncos game lines up with the stretch run of the Husker basketball game. It's tough. It's conflicting. I hope there's no Denver Broncos or Buffalo Bills fans on this Husker basketball squad. That's going to be a tough one, you know. It's a big game for the Broncos. Divisional round.
I will be at Lincoln North Star for the girls-boys doubleheader tip-off at 2, and it's Millard West coming to town, and they're number 3 in the country, or the state, forgive me. Yeah. At Millard West versus number 1 North Star girls, so I'll have that at 2. Tip-off of boys at 3:45, and I'll have my Nebraska basketball on while I'm doing the game. So
have you had a chance to see either of those North Star teams this year, Schmidt?
Yes, seen the boys. Boys are really, really talented.
Oh, and the girls team is dominant. You're gonna have to
girls team's fantastic. They're really good. Kraynak, what are you making? Elijah, did you make? And we'll get out of here, I promise. But you did your tomatillo chicken chili last night, the green chicken chili.
Pozzolo Verde.
Okay, but that sounded amazing. I wanted to bring that up. Kraynak, are you making your world famous chili today?
Can I just say, whenever the gentleman that was checking me out, cashier wise, not cashier wise, that's the Mexican.
Were you wearing the bikini, Elijah?
No, I believe it's a no shirt, no shoes, no service type of store. Anyway, whenever he was like going through all my things, he was very impressed whenever he's like, "Oh, I'm making pozzolo." I'm like, "Yeah, pozzolo."
Pozzolo. I have to look that up. I don't even know what that is.
Pozzole. Maybe it's pozzole. I don't know. I'm not Hispanic, but I love that soup, and he was very impressed. I was walking out of that store on cloud 9, like, yeah. The guy at the Mexican market was impressed that I'm making pozzole for dinner tonight, and I'm going to have it all weekend long. Plenty of leftovers. It was delicious.
We got this.
I would like to purchase some of your leftover soup because that sounds incredible.
We got this lemon garlic linguine situation that we're making with clams and shrimp. Ooh. Yeah, it's a whole thing. That's what's cracking today. It's been good meals this week. Honey, garlic, soy, salmon, and so. Oh yeah. There's been some good eating around.
Not a salmon guy, but that could twist my arm.
Yeah, it's enough because it takes on that umami flavor. So it de-salmonizes the salmon a little bit. And then you crisp the skin plus crisp the come on now.
Junior made me take him for a steak last night, so we did that. That was good to see Carson.
Doing puppy yoga tomorrow.
Are you
Doing
really?
puppy yoga? There's a new spot. It was a very last second decision. Yeah, it's like 12 bulldog puppies that basically just try to like raid you while you're doing yoga. So we'll have a full report on that next week. That ought to go well. I don't know. It starts at 9 a.m. Like, I could join the show right after and give you an immediate report, but
That'd be good.
Yeah. Puppy yoga.
All right. The Iron Horse back at it with this Gary Sharp tomorrow for Sunday Live at 10:30. The Pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman, on assignment in Donkeyland. He will join us tomorrow, 10:30 Sunday Live. We'll send you a link, Kraynak. Okay.
Yeah, send that link, and I'll probably jump on and give you a full report on the bulldog yoga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elijah, good luck, dude, with your donks today.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
And to Bills fans,
The nerves are setting in.
get lined up to be in the stream chat tomorrow. Thank you to all the average Joes and Janes out there listening to the show 7 days a week. Find us on YouTube, like and subscribe there. AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod, also Facebook and flagship home KFOR Radio in Lincoln. Have a good rest of your weekend. We'll talk tomorrow with Sunday Live, 10:30 and the average Joes. Thanks.
And just realize we need some merch that says Godspeed.